And the headline out of the Wall Street Journal this morning is really, eye-opening. A CNN poll, most voters say no chance they'll support Joe Biden. No chance. 52% say there's no chance they would vote for Joe Biden. 47% say there's no chance they could back Donald Trump. This is one of the wildest presidential races in American history, just to be sure. But here's the bottom line, Mark, and I mean this sincerely. I'm going to double down. No way this guy is on the ballot November the 5th. There's no way. This is a CNN poll that came out over the weekend, Mark. And they listen to CNN.
And it has to resonate, and it's resonating in Democrat land. Have you seen the James Carville Crypt Keeper video?
I played it yesterday.
Have you seen him just railing against young voters because he can't believe that young voters don't realize that Republicans are as evil as everybody says?
I mean, call it cursing them out, you effing little 26-year-old. Well, that'll really win over hearts and minds.
That's charming. That's the charm offensive.
That's a good approach. Yeah, that'll get a lot of young voters to your corner there, serpent head. Did you see Nancy Pelosi take Katie Turr's head off?
Yes, Katie Turr on MSNBC is welcoming Nancy Pelosi, and Pelosi says Biden has created this many jobs. Nobody had a worse record than Trump. Trump had the worst job record, and Katie Turr on MSNBC said there was a global pandemic. And Nancy Pelosi stops in her tracks and goes, what? But Biden had more jobs than Trump. If you be a Trump apologist, you go ahead. And Katie Turr said, I don't think anyone will accuse me of that.
However, Katie Turr apparently does get dragged pretty regularly, and I didn't know this about her. I don't know much about her. I try never to watch MSNBC or CNN if I can help it. The team gives me clips, and apparently she trends pretty regularly on Twitter for saying things like that, daring to go off the script. And the beauty of the clip, Mark, is the way Nancy Pelosi is shocked. It's like, how dare you say that? And incidentally, she's right. It's the biggest lie they tell. Oh, Joe Biden created jobs. No, he didn't. He shut down the country. The country got locked up. We lost all these jobs. And then finally, thank the Lord, they started coming back, and they're taking credit for that? Get out of here. Shut the heck up. Get out of town. So anyway, it's wow, what a time right now. And then some very real horrible things happening. 4 law enforcement officers shot dead outside of Charlotte. Just a horrible Monday shootout. And I was on the plane yesterday coming back from New York, and I could not believe right away the gun grabbers, they don't even let the bodies get cold before they start saying, you know what, it's time to look at this. This gun violence is gun violence. Mm-hmm. So you had some lunatic holed up in a house that they were trying to serve a warrant on, who had a bunch of, and he fires, and 8 of them, eight cops shot and 4 killed. Just Charlotte is grieving. The country grieves. You know what we need right now, my friend? And you say it every morning, and you inspire me. I always try to time it out. So I'm going over that Howard Franklin Bridge just when you give your prayer, because it inspires me for the day. So here at Columbia, UT Austin, USC, they're all having all these fiery protests and violence and all that. Over at Liberty University, private Christian school in Lynchburg, Virginia, they had a massive gathering the other night. It largely went unnoticed, but as hundreds and hundreds of kids just prayed. They gathered and they prayed for our country. They prayed for one another. And Mark, funny thing happened over at Liberty. There were no arrests. There were no anti-Israeli or pro-Hamas sentiments. They just joined together to pray, worship, and read the Bible. Wow, what a contrast, huh?
Go figure. As we talk about sides and where we should all look in the mirror and ask what side we're on. Whenever you and I have talked about Trump VP, you got your wish list. I vacillate between DeSantis, J.D. Vance, I don't know. Got a fave, or just let's just wait and
Oh, I
have
got
him
a
pick it and
fave,
see how
all
it
right.
goes.
I got one
All right.
person. I've been saying it for a year, and it's the dream ticket, and it's Ron
Yeah.
DeSantis.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Now that they're talking again, I mean, that would be so awesome. And it's funny, yes, can they both run from the same state? They can, but the electors can only vote for one. So Trump would have to change his state of residency. In view of recent events, isn't there something poetic about Trump changing his residency to New York?
Oh, there's a
Wouldn't that just be
delicious
something?
irony. There's a real irony to that.
So here's the thing I want to ask you, because Lord knows we've had a space cleared out in the VP buzz because ain't nobody talking about Kristi Noem anymore. Good grief, what a moron! Even if there's the sliver of justification for giving the dog the train station treatment, you don't brag about it in your stupid book. Enough about that. It's not what I'm talking about. What I do want to ask you about is Tulsi Gabbard. Her new book is For Love of Country, Leave the Democrat Party Behind. She's on Fox every 10 minutes. And is it intriguing? Is she a neat lady? Is it intriguing? It is. I distance from it because she is still liberal on like a couple of things. She is still pro-choice, I'm sure. She is probably pro, weed legalization, all that nonsense. And I don't think we need her. It would be a bit. It's a half-court shot. I think the only reason for Trump to sort of reach partially across a line or two is if he can't win with a conservative VP. And I believe he can. So what's your thought on this wave today of Tulsi news?
We ought,
God bless her. I love her. She's great.
we ought to consider very strongly the active role that Trump's VP is going to have to play. First of all, especially over the next few months, where he's going to he's facing convictions, and he's still chained to courtrooms, and so he can't campaign. So when he announces that vice presidential running mate is going to be very active in a way we've never really seen a vice presidential running mate. Most of them don't play.
Great point.
So they have to play a role, and you've got to look very seriously when you're looking at anybody who's in the ballpark of 80 years old at what would happen if the unthinkable happened. All right, so then consider President Tulsi Gabbard. You have to think it that way. I mean, listen, I'm completely comfortable with President Ron DeSantis. I am not comfortable with President Tulsi Gabbard for the fall, for just for the reasons you've stated. Go study her. Go look at her record. Go look at her record on life. Go look at her record on guns. Go look at her record on the fundamental things that conservatives believe in. She's attractive. She's appealing. She's charismatic.
And she's come across on a couple of things. She's come to her senses on a few things, and good for her in a Bill Maher or kind of way.
Yeah, but you don't want her to be president. And I mean that's like saying John Fetterman could be president because he's come around
for being
on
right on Israel.
He's or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. There's some things you can say. Oh, I kind of like where he stands on. You don't want him to be president of the United States, and incidentally, he won't be. This is an interesting dynamic, Mark. Who does he hurt more? Who does RFK Jr. hurt?
I go back and forth all the time.
So do the polls.
Because you have to ask, exactly. So here's the thing. If you are a disaffected Biden voter, what makes RFK Jr. look better to you? I think the answer is, I think maybe older voters, an old school Democrat, a Democrat that's not out of his flipping mind on a number of things. Right. So maybe that's a Biden voter who might turn RFK Jr. What about our side, though? Who are the conservative, or who are the Republicans? Do the never Trumpers like RFK Jr.? No. Do the moderate squishes like RFK Jr.? Maybe. So I don't know. And so since I can define a portion of Democrat America, 5, 6, 7%, that might have an RFK Jr. affinity, I think maybe he might hurt Biden a smidge more. Maybe. You introduced me to a Republican who says they like RFK Jr., and I guarantee you it's over one issue and one issue alone, and that's the vaccine. Vaccine hesitancy.
That's all it is. And they love that. And incidentally, I kind of do too. He challenged the narratives a long time ago, and he's very consistent on that. It's a little bit like Fetterman on Israel. There's nothing Fetterman represents that I would agree with except his strong stance for Israel. And you see these punks go up to Fetterman, this hulking guy with his hoodie on, and he's sitting on a bench, and they're in his face rolling a video camera, and he's saying, I'm with Israel. Go talk to somebody else. Get away.
Exactly.
And you could tell.
Go ahead.
They could tell, like, this is not your typical, like, little short 5'6". I mean, he looks like a pro wrestler, and especially with the wardrobe he favors. And so even the girl is like, I'm in your district. It's almost like she said, please don't hit me. Please don't jump at me. But he wasn't having anything to do with it. And but listen, this ought to transcend politics, Mark. This is not, we talk about a side. You want to talk about what side to take? It's not right versus left. It's good versus evil.